Born in Senin, surrounded by the beauty of nature, Andre Olwage studied graphic design and then established his own business in the field. His passion is insect illustration, and he was commissioned by the philately department of the SA Post Office to create artwork for postage stamps that reflect his talent.
As far back as I can remember, I was drawing things even if it meant copying out of books, because when you're small you don't have that development yet, but it was always in me just to be drawing something. And even up to the age of leaving school, I wasn't too sure what I was going to be doing as a career. Never quite sure until I got into the army. I didn't actually know that such a thing existed as stamp art, and a very good friend of mine, after a couple of nagging sessions, suggested I submit my artwork to the philately department at the post office. The graphic designer there saw a bird painting that I'd done in watercolor and instantly contacted to do a bird series for them, and that is how it all started. In today's world, with the rushed way things are in print and publishing, a lot of hand-drawn artwork no longer gets used, but I feel there is place for it because there are effects and things you can do manually that you cannot really achieve on computer. Unfortunately, also with hand-drawn artwork, if you make a mistake, you can't fix it and there's no undo, you've got to redo. Stamp art can be any form of art, and a lot of stamps actually are photographs and not any particular artwork. The artwork, in my case, which is watercolor because I had been given a bird series to do, actually doing the artwork on, in my case, paper. You cannot do it on a piece of board or anything that's rigid, because what happens with the artwork in the end, it gets sent to high-end scanning, which is a drum scanner, which is a round unit that the artwork actually has to fold around, and then this thing gets scanned. Your restriction size-wise for a stamp cannot be bigger than A3 size because of the drum scanner that it gets put onto to get the final image into an electronic form, which then gets reduced to the size of a stamp. I don't think it's about the worth of the stamp. For me, it was an international exposure because letters get posted internationally, and that probably meant more than the worth of the stamp actually. Was the exposure. Your name actually appears on the stamp. Although it's very small, it's there. There's no real inspiration from anything for the bird series that I did because I've always been interested in birds and I actually photograph birds. So it's almost just a natural thing for me to be doing a bird painting. I've got thousands of photographs that I can use as reference. Initially, it was a hobby before I'd studied the graphic design thing, but my work and my hobby all became one thing. So I don't really work. These particular series of birds that I did, I wanted in a more natural sort of environment. But before that takes place, I will need to have my reference for the particular drawing. I either use a grid system or I would print out a rough printout and trace basically the outlines off on the light table because that just saves a bit of time, and then go and fill in some of the detail. I've given this some thought as to where the future of stamps lie with everything going electronic. How many people are still going to be posting letters? If you look, for instance, at companies using bulk mail in the past, that or to have a stamp on the envelope. Now it's a printed thing that say postage paid and with no postage stamp on it. I do believe people still send letters internationally, maybe not so much in South Africa.
With many artistic passions, Andre is also a painter, using oil and watercolor, producing beautiful works inspired by nature.
Looking at the final product, these are some of the final stamps that were printed, and just looking at these, there's one more part of the process that happens with doing stamps for the post office is the little stamp canceller. Each one would have a unique name and date and a design. I normally try and use an element in the stamp artwork I've done as the canceller. and they need to be simple line work so that stamps can be made, physical rubber or metal stamps can be made of them. You'll notice there's artwork on envelope as well for the first day covers. I've normally a set of 5 stamps, and the 6th one becomes your envelope artwork. And then you wait for the stamp of approval, and once you've received that, you get paid.
There's something to be said for the effort it takes to write a letter, to say the things that matter most. Here's hoping there's always space in our world for creating distinctive stamps and posting letters to say we care. Get more of the Insider Essay online. Follow, connect, engage, and be inspired to live better with the Insider Essay. Watch the show Monday evenings at 5:30. Repeat Saturday at 1 on S3.